because it's probably very similar to yours. It doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal. Anyone who struggles with yeast infection will relate to this story. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get rid of your existing Candida infection symptoms in 12 hours and how to eliminate the root cause of your yeast infection in the next 30 days so that you can gain complete and permanent freedom from Candida yeast infection and its related symptoms for good. My name is Linda Allen, and I am a certified nutrition specialist, health consultant, medical researcher, speaker, and author. I am also a former yeast infection sufferer. Over the past 14 years, I've helped men and women in 157 countries to permanently get rid of their Candida yeast infections and dramatically improve the quality of their lives. And today, I would like to help you. Chances are I know exactly how you feel right now because I've been there myself and seen it with thousands of my clients. Maybe you're extremely confused about yeast infection. You've heard crazy things like, it doesn't exist, or you can't completely get rid of it. You're deeply frustrated because everything you've tried has not worked. You're fed up with all the empty promises, quick fix scams, and sleazy treatment ripoffs. You want something that works, and works quickly, to get rid of your Candida infection and keep it away forever. Are you suffering from any of the following symptoms? Itching or burning sensation in your intimate parts? Depression or mood swings? Vaginal odor or vaginal discharge? Chronic rashes? Constant tiredness or fatigue? Irritability? Headaches or frequent migraines? Food allergies? Increased craving for simple carbohydrates? Yeast infections in your toenails or fingernails? Unexplainable feeling of not being yourself? Are you just downright frustrated because you know there must be an answer to your problem, but you just haven't been able to find it? Well, you just found it. Once I understood that a real cure could only be achieved if the underlying root cause and the circumstances that promote Candida growth in the body were dealt with, I began to realize the importance of treating the entire body from the inside out. I began to gather information about every yeast therapy I could find. It didn't matter if one person or 100,000 people said it worked for them. I documented it and gave it a try. For each new remedy, I wrote down how it worked, its side effects, and other important information. Hundreds of therapies later, I began to look for a pattern, exploring if some treatments could be combined for maximum effect. What I discovered was amazing. It was only after 12 painful years when I accidentally stumbled upon this missing piece to the Candida yeast infection puzzle that my yeast infection completely disappeared. My chronic yeast infection cleared up, my sinus problems went away, my stomach ailments disappeared, and my energy returned. Still, not completely sure that I had indeed found a cure, I returned to several doctors and asked them to run some tests. Amazingly, the tests showed that all signs of infection were gone. I was finally healthy again. My general practitioner wanted to know how I had done it. She was utterly amazed when I outlined my program. I think you may have something here, she said. I'd ask a few other chronic Candida sufferers to try it too. I followed her advice. Since I had been on multiple blogs and Candida forums for years, it wasn't difficult to find people willing to give my remedy a try. What I was offering was a completely safe alternative to all of the dangerous treatments offered by the medical community. I sent off my protocol to several dozen Candida infection sufferers and waited for their feedback. It didn't take long before I began receiving emails, text messages, and phone calls from people all over the world telling me how their symptoms were literally disappearing. My program was working. More and more people were asking me for help. My doctor was right. I was onto something and needed to share my discovery with the world. That was years ago, and today I'm still Candida infection-free. I can honestly say that I've never felt so good. All of my symptoms are gone, and you know what? My health is now better than it had been even before the yeast infection. When I finally found the missing piece to the Candida yeast infection puzzle, I was absolutely amazed. How did I do it? I embraced the one truth that hardly anyone knows or will tell you about. It's going to blow your mind. Ready? The best yeast infection treatment in the world is no yeast infection treatment. Now, That may come as a shock to you, but here's why this is the absolute truth. If you treat your yeast infection by focusing only on external symptoms, using anti-inflammatory or antibiotic drugs, lotions, or creams, you will temporarily decrease the inflammation, swelling, and redness of your local infection. That's okay if you want life dependency on expensive drugs and chemicals, but that's not what most of us want. The first thing I discovered in my 12 years of research was that almost everyone is getting ripped off by the drug and pharmaceutical companies. The pharmaceutical and drug industries are loaded with snake oil marketers who are getting rich by preying on your desperation. You need to realize this. Conventional yeast infection product and treatment providers are your enemies. They don't want you to get rid of your yeast infection because when you do, they'll lose a customer. And with every customer they lose, they also lose a lot of money. The second thing I discovered is that almost everyone is dead wrong in the way they treat their yeast infection. It's a fact. The methods you're using to treat your infection right now might be severely damaging your internal health. There's a better way to get the job done, and it's amazingly fast. I'm going to share with you 5 powerful keys to become free of Candida infection for good. Key number 1. Antifungal drugs will make your yeast infection worse. We are surrounded by medical products that claim to be yeast infection cures. In reality, however, these expensive drugs only focus on treating symptoms. No matter what your doctor tells you, taking antifungal medications, antibiotics, and steroids of any kind to treat your yeast infection will significantly damage your internal system, destroy your natural internal balance, make your infection and your health worse in the long run. These drugs will not fix the underlying environment or the root cause of your yeast infection. Key number 2. Antifungal creams, probiotics, and natural antifungals will not cure your yeast infection. Please do not fall for any antifungal creams or anti-Candida probiotics that you see on infomercials, no matter how sophisticated or enticing they may appear. I've tried most of these, and they are worthless. They do not cure Candida yeast infection at all. Lotions, creams, and other topical treatments are designed to tackle the symptoms of your infection, not the real cause. After more than 12 years of research, and after experimenting with every known topical antifungal treatment available on the market, I can honestly and confidently say that there is no topical anti-yeast treatment that can cure your infection. While there are several topical treatments that may significantly alleviate the symptoms of your yeast infection, they only serve as band-aids by masking the symptoms of Candida yeast overgrowth. Probiotic therapy, which reestablishes the balance between good and bad bacteria in your digestive tract, is also useless, as it completely ignores the root cause of Candida infection. The same goes for many of the natural anti-Candida products that you see in health food stores. Killing the Candida microorganism alone is definitely not enough to achieve lasting freedom from yeast infection. You must also change your internal environment so that infections never recur. To achieve this, you need to know how to use these products effectively, when to use them, in what order, and how to combine them with other crucial protocols. Key number 3. Despite what some doctors and conventional health advocates may say, there is a strong link between diet and yeast infection. However, diet alone cannot cure Candida yeast overgrowth. Why do doctors so stubbornly insist that there is no connection between diet and yeast infection? The answer? You can't make a profit promoting a healthy diet, or at least not as much as you could by selling drugs. The truth is, the right diet, while not a solution by itself, can in many cases dramatically reduce yeast infection symptoms and help remove a significant part of your infection. Recent studies have found a strong connection between diet and yeast infection. The wrong diet is now thought to be one of the leading factors contributing to Candida yeast overgrowth. It can negatively affect the intestinal bacterial balance and the natural process of toxin elimination, thereby seriously aggravating your existing yeast infection. Nevertheless, Candida yeast infection is a complex condition that is triggered by multiple underlying factors. Therefore, the only way to neutralize your yeast infection is to tackle all of these contributing factors holistically. Since the wrong diet is only one of these infection-triggering factors, in most cases, no special diet will cure your Candida yeast infection. Key number 4. This is a very important fact that you absolutely must understand if you want to save hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Yeast infection is not just a localized surface problem, but a warning signal of a serious inner imbalance. Let's make this clear. Yeast infection is not a localized problem with your genitals, mouth, head, muscles, etc. And that is why killing the local fungus, fighting the rash, or reducing the redness will never work to completely cure your Candida yeast overgrowth. Yeast infection is a systemic problem. It's a symptom of an internal disorder that affects your whole body and manifests as skin disorders, digestive problems, migraines, etc. Yeast overgrowth is simply a big warning sign that something inside your body is wrong and needs to be corrected. Failing to diagnose and fix this problem in a timely manner can result in far more severe and chronic disorders, which can seriously endanger your health. By using drugs and creams to shut down your body's alarm system, you are practically ignoring your body's messages and neglecting the root cause of your infection, thus making your condition worse in the long run. The only way you can completely cure your yeast infection is from within, by listening to what your body is trying to tell you and working with it to eliminate the root cause of your Candida infection. Key number 5. The true cause of yeast infection and the only way to cure it permanently. No matter what anyone tells you, yeast infection is definitely not a figment of your imagination. After 12 years of research, here's what I have found to be the root cause of yeast infection, or to be more specific, the main factors responsible for yeast overgrowth. Yeast infection is a condition in which the balance of your internal environment is disrupted. There are factors and cofactors that contribute to Candida overgrowth, and there are also causative agents that aggravate an already compromised yeast infection condition. In addition to internal factors, daily life situations, external factors, and psychological, mental, or emotional factors can also directly or indirectly contribute to the environment in which Candida is able to grow and spread. The only way to stop yeast overgrowth permanently is to prevent this condition from recurring. This cannot be achieved by tackling the symptoms of Candida yeast infection alone. Only by following a comprehensive, multidimensional, holistic program to tackle the underlying cause and the circumstances promoting Candida growth in your body can you regain your health and become yeast infection free for good. Let's use a metaphor to demonstrate this further. If you manage to kill all mosquitoes around a stale pond using chemicals, then for a little while there will be no mosquitoes. But since the source of the problem is still there, the stale pond where mosquitoes can feed and breed, they will always come back. The same thing applies to your yeast infection. Without fixing the internal problem and eliminating the source, the root cause, of your Candida overgrowth, you will never permanently get rid of yeast infections. Your Candida yeast infections will always come back until you do something fundamental